And we are back. We've got myself, Bish, and a special guest, the top man of the show, the one that everyone loves. We've got Scott Tag Taylor, the Denver Broncos mega fan. I'll call you, Scott, and we'll get straight into it. How are you? How's the season going? Nice to have you back.
Yeah, good to be on, guys. Thanks for having me back. Yeah, I didn't wear my Denver shirt last time I was on because it was 1-5, but we all know the season's flipped on its head a bit. We're over 50% chance of making the playoffs, and we've won 6 out of our last 7. So I'm repping the shirt now. I'm proud to have Wilson on the back. It nearly went in the bin at the start of the year, but it's on the back now, wearing with pride.
Brilliant. Bish, how are you?
I'm good. Yeah, it's not quite as bouncing as Tag, but I think from the last, I'd say 4 weeks, even including that loss against the Ravens, I think the Rams are looking good again in that playoff contention. But yeah, I think it's been a slow start to the season, but now we're in the business end. There's a lot up for grabs. So the games are coming thick and fast, and a lot of importance week to week.
I'll just go over what we're doing in the show. It's going to be one like we did earlier on in the season. I think we're about 3/4 of way through, so we're doing a 3/4 season review. We're going to get into it. If you watch the show that we did earlier on, same format, same style, all of us just giving opinions and having a laugh. But we'll start off, and you both touched on it. We're going to go on our team review. I'll go first. I'm a Green Bay Packer fan. Went to the state, went to university in the state of Wisconsin, where the Green Bay are home. I've only been to one game. I wish I could have been to more, but the way the ownership is, the fans, own Green Bay. It's a fan owned team. So it's completely sold out every week, and each season ticket goes towards the ownership of the fans. So it's really hard to get tickets. Just getting my excuse why you've not seen me at more games. But yeah, I think so far the season's been up and down. I think Jordan Love was getting doubted earlier on, and I think he's really coming through in these last couple of weeks. His stats are eerily similar to Aaron Rodgers' first season. It's been good. I like what you see in there because he doesn't have a number one receiver. I'll just go. The wide receiver core is probably the main positive, but it's also a negative because the top receivers, Jalen Reed with 540 receiving yards on the season. Then it's Romeo Doubs on 537. Then Christian Watson, even though he's been injured, but he's only got 422. So he's probably number one. But I think if he had played, it'd be on about 600 plus. They need that number one wide receiver. They said it last year. One of these lads needs to step up. It's been a fair share at the moment, but a lot to go off. And I think add another receiver in there. One of them really takes the step up next year. We've got something very exciting going on. The one negative I'll get in before I'll open it up to you lads is the running back room. I think it's now more than ever becoming an issue. I think we're hoping to see AJ Dillon start to take over that role as they do. And he's not. He's averaging 3.5 yards a carry. It's normally Green Bay's really good thing, really positive over the last couple of years. Aaron Jones has been unbelievable. We've given him new contracts on the back of it. He's had an injury-prone season. He's only getting older. Don't quite have that same explosion. And we're hoping AJ Dillon's tough running would really come through for us. And he's had a couple of good games, but he's not quite doing it for me. He's only had 374 yards on the season. And lads, I think that would be my aim of the off-season, to get one or two offensive linemen and maybe think about getting a new running back in on maybe the second or third round of the draft. What do you think on the Green Bay season? Bish, you can go first.
Yeah, I agree with that with the draft. I think an experienced wide receiver would be good next year. Like you said, it's a very young group. Just throw a veteran in there just to add a bit of experience would be good. Running back, yeah, I think a lot of teams go that way, don't they? They just draft, anywhere from, third to fifth round, even onwards, and just churn through those running backs. And I'm probably a little bit, maybe I was a bit over egging them. On our preview show, I sort of said they'd be better without Rodgers in terms of it'd be, a bit more calmer, bit less circus media sort of thing, and they could get on with it. And I think it's been a slow start for them, but I think probably other than Monday night against the Giants, I thought, they were looking good, possibly could, put a bit of pressure on the Lions who seem to be stuttering, but yeah, they've come unstuck a little bit there. Maybe it's just that young and inexperience. You generally get ups and downs with that. So yeah, but I think Jordan Love, he looks to have settled down. He looks to be a lot better. So another year, hopefully next year, he'll be even better.
Brilliant. And Tag, what's your view on the Packers this year?
Yeah, I've been impressed with him. I probably wrote off Jordan Love a bit too early. It is his genuine first season, and I think he does look good on the ball. He looks calm. He doesn't look like stuff phases him, which you need in the quarterback. I think I could be wrong, but when you look at the fixtures and the games they've actually lost the really winnable games, like the Giants game, and I think one or two earlier in the year. They've lost teams with your 4 wins up to now 5 wins, and they've actually beaten some of the tougher fixtures, which obviously as a Green Bay fan's frustrating because you could be right in the mixer. But no, I've been impressed. I think the defense has been good this year. I think they're well coached, and I think you put it on before, I've seen it before, but the average age of the offense of the wide receivers and quarterback, like you say, fully agree. I think you need a veteran wide receiver in there. I'm not quite sure where the main ones are off contract this year at the minute, but I'd definitely be snapping one of them up, or definitely go for a trade, something like what Miami did with Tyreek Hill, which just obviously flipped their offense on the head. And like you say, running back wise, yeah, Aaron Jones is been great for you, but it's sort of when do you cut your losses? When do you move on? Because he can't stay fit at the minute, which is obviously a frustrating thing.
Yeah, completely agree. Yeah, I think if we get a wide receiver in, like I said, the defense has been better than it was at previous years. The run defense isn't as bad. That was typically, think Green Bay, you think get loads of running yards, your running backs will have a good week. It still needs improving, but I know a lot of emphasis has been put on that end of the game. And if we concentrate on the attack, which we've been calling for years anyway, getting them receivers in, which we've now done. If we make them moves, I'm excited going forward. But yeah, Bish, we'll go on to the Rams. What's your review on the Rams this year?
It's pretty exciting at the minute, if I'm honest. I think we left it off. I think they were 3-3. I think we reviewed just after week 6, and then after that they went on a bit of a 3-game losing streak, and it looked like, oh dear, all that optimism, young team, too much for them. But then coming out of the bye, we got Kyron Williams back. We won another 3, and then lost a tough one against the Ravens last week in overtime. But for me, watching that, obviously, vested interest in the Rams, but just watching it in general, it was some great football being played, and going toe to toe with a heavyweight team like the Ravens are this year just shows the potential, really, I think, and everything seems to be clicking. And it's that running game for me. Kyron Williams has come back off that bye, and it just sets everything up. Teams have got to account for that. It works straight into Stafford's hands, the play action. You've got Puka Nacua now, unbelievable rookie year. Kupp still doing his thing, although he looks a bit banged up at the minute. And we're just finding pieces. Demarcus Robinson, a pickup, sort of. I wouldn't call him I don't know. I'd call him a steady player. A steady veteran comes in and is getting targets and getting end zone touchdowns. So we're looking good. It's currently 6-7. And, I'm optimistic. We could be 9-8. The next 3 games are Commanders this week, and we've got the Giants, the Saints, and we finish at the 49ers. So, if we can rattle off 3 there, take us to 9-7. That 49ers is a bit of a free hit, 9-8. I think that could be good enough to get us in the playoffs, with the Vikings and the Packers having to play each other. So, it's pretty exciting. It's a very young team. An interesting stat. Obviously, I listen to the Rams podcast, Athletic. She's called Jordan Rodriguez, and we're actually the second lowest spenders on defense this year, and over 50% of that cap is on Aaron Donald. So it's just all rookies. It's crazy what they're doing. You get it at times, especially in that Ravens game. You get the sort of secondary they have they have mess ups, and it leads to big plays. I think Odell Beckham scored a massive play, but it's understandable at times. They are young players, but I'm just excited, to be honest. I didn't expect much this year, so it's exciting to be sort of on the heels of the playoffs, and then just looking forward to next year. We finally have a 2024 round 1 draft pick again. A long time since Jared Goff was drafted. So, just looking at what they currently do with the late round picks and the sort of young players they've brought in this year, I'm excited for what the future holds at the minute.
I don't know with Sean McVay's record, Bish. I wouldn't hold on to that first round pick. I think it will quickly be traded for some second and third rounders and another player with the way.
Hey, if he can turn that into an elite pass rusher again, I'd be more than happy to trade it away, because I genuinely think Stafford's got at least 1 more, maybe 2 years. While Donald's still there, we've got a chance. I think we just need that pass rush. We missed that Leonard Floyd, that Von Miller sort of player that we had. So if we can get that, I'll be rubbing my hands again.
Tag, what is your thoughts on the Rams this year?
Yeah, I like them. I'm impressed with them. I think Ravens, I'm going on predictions later on, but Ravens are right up there for me. And to go there and take them to overtime, like I said, it is a defense what's letting them down a bit, which obviously when they got to the Super Bowl a few years ago and won it, it was all defense then, really. But no, Stafford for me is the big one. I know Bishop just said, yeah, that was going to be my point. You look at him now, he's still such a good player, but he just ain't moving great, is he? I think you've got 1 more good year in him. I think you'll probably go all in on him again next year, and then obviously then see what happens next year and then move on from there. Whether potentially if you're the Rams, do you keep your early pick and take that rookie QB and give him a year with Stafford to mold him, maybe 2 years with Stafford, a bit like what Green Bay did with Love and Rodgers, and you've seen so often. But yeah, I think the Rams are so competitive and a lot of potential along Stafford's fit. As soon as Stafford's fit, they're a contender for them playoffs all day long. And I do love watching them play. The threats they've got with Nakua and Kupp, and then, like I said, Karen Williams being an absolute gem this year for them. I just really enjoy watching them play. They're exciting to watch.
Brilliant.
I think you could, sorry, Joe, I think you could see that might be a move as well. They're more likely to use that first round pick, I think, on a veteran quarterback, just because I think the best thing for the franchise would be to draft a quarterback. But Aaron Donald, his father time catches up with you eventually. So I think it's hell for leather while we can. So, if you could flick that into I don't know, I would say Kirk Cousins before he did his Achilles, but a sort of serviceable quarterback like that, I think that could be a good option as well.
Garoppolo, take him.
Garoppolo.
Yeah, I think your lads have covered most of the Rams to fair. Like you said, they're a joy to watch, and that's what I like in the NFL. A lot of teams now, obviously, I'm thinking the Falcons, the Steelers, teams like that play football, not as exciting. You're not excited to watch, but whatever Rams situation they're in, Sean McVay and the team over there, the coaches get it going, and it's going to be a good game. So for fans and red zone and everything that we believe in, it's what a team and what an exciting future you've got there, Bish, with Packers Tag, let's go into the Broncos. I think a lot to speak about here. A lot of interesting storylines to take us through your Broncos thoughts.
Yeah, well, start of the season, obviously, if you would have offered me a wild card spot, I would have snapped your hands off. I think with the longest drought, not making the playoffs since winning the Super Bowl in 2015. So it's been a long time coming. Sean Payton coming in, you thought he'd be able to pre-season start turning it around. And when I was last on the show, I think it was 1-5, and you think, wow, it's a bigger job than what we realised. The culture's shocking. There's all stuff coming out, but in Sean Payton we trust. They reckon we was getting trade offers left, right, and centre for Sutton and Judy, and as Russ cooked his last meal, and do we move on from Russ? But I'm shocked really, because obviously, like I said, I would have snapped your hand off for a wild card at the start of the year. Then after the 6 games in, I would have said you're absolutely no chance. I don't think I think there might only been one team post Super Bowl era who has made the playoffs who have started 1-5. That could be wrong. I felt like I heard that stat at the time. But yeah, just all Sean Payton. I'm putting it down to him, all of it. He might not deserve all the credit, but he's clearly doing it right. He said, stick with us. We've got 70 put on us by the Dolphins. And yeah, it's just turned around. We've got some form behind us. And yeah, just game by game. It's a lot of the games are close. I think our defense has had the biggest transition during the season you've probably seen in a long time, because after them first 6 games, our defense was absolutely horrendous, and defending the run game, it was shocking. It was tough to watch, and you saw that when, like I said, we shipped 70 in Miami, but the defense has stepped up. Obviously, for me, I feel like we've got the best cornerback in the league in Patrick Surtain. And I feel like we've found a type of football in offense where we are letting Russ do his thing a bit more, plenty of play action, back the run. But yeah, I think Sutton stepped up massively as well. That wide receiver one we've missed. So I'm positive, I'm happy. And without dragging it on too much, I've had the fixtures up there. I think our last 4 games, we've got Detroit Lions, and we go Patriots, Chargers, Raiders. And we've got a 50% chance of making the playoffs. I think if we can't win 3 out of 4 of them games, the way we're playing, I'd be shocked, and that'd get us in that wild card spot. Maybe even winners the division at a long stretch, because obviously the Chiefs are kind of what they've been in recent years. I don't want to get ahead of myself, because I know it's still a massive building project, but the fact we've got the right coach and the fact that we're a chance of the playoffs, I think I can't get too greedy and just be happy with that.
The one talking point I've got wrote down here is Jerry Jeudy tag. I think there's a lot to be said about him. Obviously, Steve Smith has had his say. That went viral. That catch at the weekend, that should have been a touchdown, and he didn't tap his toes and get into the end zone. It's been an up and down year for Jeudy. He's had some good games and obviously some shocking ones. What's your view and what you're doing with Jerry Jeudy in the offseason?
Well, look, I think obviously I've been watching the NFL now since I was 12, 13 years old, but I feel like 2019, 20 was I started watching college football, and I was excited by the draft of Jeudy. What he was doing in Alabama, I was buzzing to get him. I bought one of the Alabama shirts signed by him straight away to frame, and I thought, yes, we've got that gun wide receiver we need. But I've got to be completely honest, it's frustration with him. A lot of talking. You see him training, and I can't remember which ex-player it said. It might be Shannon Sharp saying, I've never seen a better route runner in training, but don't see it on the field when he's playing. And obviously they put a lot of blame on Russ for that, but even at the weekend, the touchdown he scored that got rolled off, and he's got 5 yards to play with. He don't get them 2 feet in bounds. And it's just frustration. And that's why Cortland Sutton has stepped up. You would have arguably said Judy's our wide receiver 1, but for me, it's Sutton by an absolute mile at the minute. Look, I love Jeudy. I was buzzing, but he's had 3 seasons now, and he's just not shown it enough for me to. If we moved on from him, if we're trading him on, I've got no dramas with that, because I just feel like, how long do you keep going? And obviously he's going to be due that contract soon. I think this is the last year of his rookie contract, is it? Where they can get rid. So yeah, you won't be paying him on what he's showing.
Bish, what's your view on the Broncos this year and the amazing turnaround they've had?
Yeah, I'm excited. It's like that Sean Payton effect, isn't it? And I think Tag covered it. Maybe it took a little bit longer than people thought, but now, stick with it, and it turns it around, and now they're flying. And I've even started backing them on best bets, and that's how confident I am in them now. So yeah, Sutton's had an unbelievable year. He seems to be that connection. Russ is, whatever everyone says about Russ, he's still got that arm on him, and he can still put it, on a dot from 40, 50 yards. He can find that corner of the end zone. And at the weekend, Sutton, a one-handed catch, contested catch. So yeah, he's having a great year. I thought Javonte Williams would have give us a bit more. Maybe, I don't know. Maybe it's, that he did do his ACL, didn't he? I think.
Yeah, ACL. Yeah,
maybe it's just taking a little bit of time. Obviously a new offense, maybe. But I'm probably expecting a little bit more from him. Maybe that might be next year where we see him explode. But no, it seems a good offense, like you said about the defense as well. You're getting your secondary back, and they look good in an AFC which, like you said, is pretty much wide open at the minute. So some friendly fixtures, and hopefully you can deliver the goods.
Yeah, five teams on 7 and 6, I believe.
Yeah.
And on to the next section, lads. We've got an interesting one, and you had some interesting thoughts last time we did this review show. A couple of pretenders who I think might have become front runners, and some front runners who might be pretenders. We'll get into it. Front runners, pretenders. Tag, start us off, please.
Front runners for me. I think there'd be no shock of this if anyone knows NFL. It has to be the 49ers. They're the front runners for me. I know they've obviously lost. Is it Hafun? I can't say his name. Yeah. So I know they lost him for the season, but look at the defense and who they've brought in, and they've added Chase Young to that, and you just saw the way they wiped the floor the last few weeks with the teams that played in the Eagles, and 49ers. And look, you was his number one fan, Joel Purdy, and
I've not done.
He needs to get some credit where credit's due, because look, he's playing well. It's not just a Shanahan offense what's making him look good. He's making some brilliant passes, and look, Brandon Ayuk, absolute superstar for me. Christian McCaffrey, everyone slated that trade, and he's proved him wrong. He hasn't hardly missed a game, and for me, out of him and Tyreek Hill, you could look at the first arguably non-QB MVP in a long time. So, yeah, front runners for me, 49ers by a country mile at the minute.
Brilliant. I'll go my front runner, lads, and I've, like you said, without just saying 49ers, because they're mine, but I'm looking at that AFC. There's not many teams I actually believe in there, which might be controversial, but there's not many teams at all, and I think it could be finally the Baltimore Ravens year. I'm calling it now. It's not a brave call. It's a pretty safe call, because they've got I think the only other two that are really in contention, like you said, the Chiefs. They might be coming up in the other half of this section, and then you've got the Dolphins. I just think Baltimore will slow that game down. I don't know. I'm struggling to see the Dolphins beat the Ravens when it comes tough. The Ravens have always struggled. Lamar's got a chip on his shoulder, and I think you might see the Ravens in that Super Bowl game this year.
I can't argue with you. I can't argue with any of you. I think you've picked the best two teams from each conference, so that leaves me there. So I'll throw another one out, and I'll I don't think they're a front runner, because I do think it'll be the 49ers Ravens that do that. But one who's up there, and probably one I'll have to hold my hands up and say, I had him as a pretender. I still don't think they're the massive front runners. I'm still sort of on that spectrum of in between at the minute, but I think I've got to give the Cowboys some love, to be honest. What they're doing at the minute. Although, as we said, the 49ers put them to the sword earlier on in the year. They've proved me wrong, week after week. And although it's been a pretty soft schedule, that Eagles game at home might have been 2 weeks ago now. Second quarter onwards, the Eagles just didn't have any answers at all. The Cowboys are just had them, we're just playing with them, really. And we spoke about it last week. When you've got a kicker who indoors can kick it from 60 yards, look like he could have kicked it from 70 yards. If you're always capable of scoring points, it makes it very hard for the opposition to keep up with you, because they've always got to be aggressive and play on the front foot, which plays into Dallas's defense's hands. So, I think that they are definitely a number two behind the 49ers, but I suppose to be different, I'll throw them out there. I can see them going quite deep in the playoffs.
Yeah, I like it. Yeah,
again, probably not a surprise.
I had Dallas in the first show. I think when we did this section in the first show, I think I had Dallas. So I'll back you up there, Bish. They've proved people wrong this year, and if it does lie, the playoffs do lie with the 49ers v Dallas in that to make the Super Bowl, the NFC Championship. That'll be one of the game of the ages. Maybe not for scoring, but for overall football quality. I think it'll be very high. I'll go into it then, lads. I've got my pretender all day long. I've got the Kansas City Chiefs. The reason why, I think, obviously, simple one, the wide receiver room, absolutely atrocious. I picked up Rashee Rice in fantasy quite early on, and he's the only one who stood up. He's the only one who can make a catch, never mind do anything else. I think they're really struggling. Kelsey had them great games when he first started dating Taylor Swift, but I think his energy is now being used elsewhere, and it's not clearly on the pitch because he's fallen off. And I think that's age as well. He's one of the oldest tight ends in the league, but he keeps doing it to that standard. He's still the number one tight end, receiving tight end in the league for sure, but he's definitely taking that step back. And I think that comes with age, doesn't it? You can start the season well, but when that end of the season comes, it just gets tougher and tougher to keep going. And I think you're seeing that in Kelsey now, the first signs of that regression start. Mahomes can't do it alone. The defense has been good, but it's tailing off a bit. It's not as convincing it was at the start of the year. And I think they're pretenders. The mighty Kansas City Chiefs are my pretenders.
Love it.
Yeah, I can't argue. I think one thing I'd say about Kelsey as well, I think even the worst defenses in the league, surely they can scheme against taking away your best option. And like you said, in the passing game, he's pretty much their only option at the minute. So it's easier for him to be a non-factor. Stick two defenders on him. Like you said, with everything that he's got going on, even at his best, he'd struggle, to put up the numbers that he has done previously. And it's just crying out for someone to help him out in it. And where it's going to come from, I'm not sure. But if they want to go far, I think they're gonna need it in these playoffs.
Yeah.
Tag, who is your pretender?
My pretender, and I don't think Bish will like this. He don't like it when I get into his second team. But I brought him up in the last time we did this. I'm sticking with Miami. They just don't do it for me. Obviously, they lost to Tennessee at the weekend. Will Levis, Tennessee, went into their stadium and beat them. And yeah, I just start convinced by him. I feel like they blow up the weak teams. I feel like they get found out against some of the better teams. I feel like it's all on Tyreek. I feel like as soon as Tyreek in out there, and don't get me wrong, he might stay fit for the full playoff run, but they need to hope he does stay fit because it's all on him. They're a different team when he's out there, which they should be as well, class. But yeah, I'm just not convinced by him. I just feel like the defense is okay. Obviously, they lost Jalen Phillips for the season. It was a massive, massive loss on the edge. I think Bradley Chubb is good, but he's not. I mean, I wasn't too disappointed when he left Denver. And obviously, the secondary, they've got Jalen Ramsey there now, but he's always one game away from losing his head, as good as he is. So, yeah, I'm just I'm going to stick with Miami Dolphins for me. I feel like they'd probably win the division potentially, but I feel like you'll see him have an exit. And I'm making a little prediction now that Denver met the playoffs and they knock the Miami Dolphins out of the playoffs. The Denver Broncos get the revenge on the 70-20 defeat and knock them out.
That's a big call. I'm noting that for that's a media bite right there.
Yeah, no, that's now 29 minutes into the podcast.
Yeah. No, you've saved me a job, to be fair, Tag, because they were one of the teams that I were going to throw up myself. So yeah, and I'll just back up what you said. It is all Tyreek Hill. If he's not playing, they're not going to do anything. It showed that, they played Tennessee. They had a massive lead. They looked good to start with. Tyreek went out. they didn't look very good at all. He comes back in, they look good again, and somehow they give away that massive lead that they did. Just defending them a little bit, they're down three linemen, so that that's going to struggle. Terran Armstead's a massive blow for him, but yeah, they had the chance to possibly go toe-to-toe with the Ravens and try and cement that number one spot, which I think they would have needed. I think they would have needed home field advantage to make it all the way. And they haven't. I don't think they'll achieve that. They've still got some tough games. And, I don't know which section I think I wrote it down, but I can see the last game of the season, Miami versus Buffalo, being the decider for the title for the AFC East. So, I don't expect them to do too well coming up. But quickly, I'm going to cheat. I'm going to do two. So my other one was the Lions, just because I think Tag you really rated them highly last show, and I just think they've been found out a little bit. When they play against teams who go man on man, they really struggle. They have got a lot of explosive weapons, but they don't create that much separation man on man. They do very well against zone teams. You see Amon-Ra popping up in spots left, right, and centre. But against man on man, especially last week against the Bears, they played them earlier on, probably 4 weeks ago, and they just got over the line in the last minute. But last week they just got dominated. They just couldn't create anything. Goff kept hold of the ball a little bit longer than he needed to. So I just think teams have sort of found a way to sort of get after them and cause them pressure. And the defense is all at sea at times. So yeah, they're my pretenders. I don't think. I think they'll win the division. I don't think Minnesota will catch them, but I think one and done in the playoffs for them.
I'll back you up there, because Jared Goff, I feel like people in NFL, I can't say NFL teams forgot, because I presume they do the research, but the reason Jared Goff got traded from the Rams, and Bish, you can back me up or say I'm talking rubbish here, but Sean McVay didn't like that he couldn't read the defense. Unless that first option or second option was there, he didn't know what to do. He wasn't very good at picking out passes, wasn't very good at going off the cuff. He were very, if it's open, if it's there, let's play to this system. And he didn't like that. He wanted Stafford in, who was more explosive, can pick out a pass, can do a bit more than what Goff can do. And I think it's showing now with that, like you said, the way they're defending Detroit. I think it's making Goff do a bit more, think a bit more. And that's why he's been throwing more picks than ever. And he's, like you said, been also holding it on more than ever, because I think he's waiting for them to get open. And on man, it's tough. And he has to make them reads and make them plays with the correct timing, which I think he's struggled on throughout his career anyway. So, yeah, I think if them better defensive teams, depending on who they get, if they get one of them top defensive team, well, they're saying they might be playing Minnesota. I don't think that will stay the case at the moment. But if they get a good defense in the playoffs, it could be a tough one. If they get one that's not quite as good, they'll probably do what they do. But yeah, I think their ceiling's capped into that second week into the playoffs.
I'd like to see them get the Rams and see Stafford go back into Detroit, and that'll be an interesting game. Stafford versus Goff in the playoffs. That'll be a good one.
Yeah. Well, Denver have got Detroit on Saturday night, haven't they? The Saturday night main game. So it'd be interesting to see who comes out on top of that one.
Bish, we've got your next one. We've got the race for the number one pick. I'll start off. I feel like it's going to be interesting, because whether Carolina stick with theirs or trade it and go get some pieces to help out Bryce Young, I think that's what I'm going to be interested on draft night. I'll be watching that closely. Oh, sorry, go on.
It's the Bears. The Bears already own it.
Wrong. Yeah. No, I said it wrong. Yeah, sorry. No, so the Bears, if they do anything, because obviously that's what I meant, Justin Fields, whether they keep, I've just got the storyline, got the wrong team. Whether they stick with Justin Fields or not is going to be the big choice. I'm excited to watch it. I think they might give him another year on the back of the last couple of weeks. A lot of people don't, but they might go get a few more pieces and give him one last run. Whether they can afford to do so or not is probably the call that they're going to make. Yeah,
I might be jumping in now with a prediction on the first pick, but I'm the same as you. I've got the Bears, and I think the Pats are going to move up for Caleb Williams.
Ooh.
I think the Pats. I mean, Mac Jones isn't the man. It was funny, that clip of Bailey Zappi in the changing room after the win, and he was jumping all over Bill O'Brien and turning around and saw the big dog stood there and Belichick, and he backed right down, didn't he? And then just walked over and shook his hand. I think the look Bill give him just thought, he's not that Mark QB. That's not Tom Brady there. So the way the Pats are going at the minute, and they've got quite a tough run in the Pats, I think they could potentially end up maybe second, third pick overall. And I feel like if they trade and move up, the Bears still get their man in Marvin Harrison Jr. If he declares, you get the best wide receiver in the draft still to give Fields some more ammo, because you go into the next season with Fields being able to throw to DJ Moore and Marvin Harrison Jr. That's a good wide receiver and core right there. And I feel you'll see Pats take the next Tom Brady and franchise quarterback in arguably one of the best QBs coming out of college ever in Caleb Williams.
You've given us another clippable one there. I'm saving that because that's a prediction and a half, and I love it because it could be, like you said, that could definitely come true.
And what can I say? I've literally just similar. That's what I had. I think it's nailed on the Bears. Obviously, Carolina, it's nailed on that. They'll finish last. The Bears will take that. My question was the Patriots. I can see them finishing with the second pick overall. They've still got the Chiefs, the Broncos, the Bills, and the Jets to play. A couple of divisional games in there, but it's not looking like the win's coming out. I'd personally say they're not going to get a win out of them. Possibly the Jets last game, but and my question would be, although they take the quarterback, does Bill Belichick stay there to see it through, or is he gone and it's a complete rebuild, new quarterback, new coach? So that was the question I was going to ask. Thrown in the mix with them, the Cardinals, again, they're 3-10, but I can see them sticking with Kyler and trying to build around him. And then the Bears, like you said, they take that number one pick, they trade it away, and they're still, at the minute, they've still got the fifth pick as well, from their performance. So they're loaded. But yeah, that was the biggest thing for me is the Patriots. Is it a complete rebuild, new coach, new quarterback, or does Bill Belichick still stick around and sort of try and maneuver his way around GM Belichick to make Coach Belichick try and make each other better?
Would it be possible that he does the classic move up to GM and then gets another head coach in? Or do you reckon he'd not want to relinquish control of the team like that?
I think it's the other way around. I think the only way, if he's going to lose anything, I think he'd lose the GM. And I think he's an head coach, out and out head coach, is a Sir Alex Ferguson of the NFL, and it's his team and his way. I don't think he'd want a coach under him, in my opinion. I think he's obviously made some poor choices, GM, and that's the role for me, what needs taken off his hands. And I do feel like I don't think he's done in the league either. I feel like if he did move on, he would be going elsewhere and proving a point if he did. There's a team in the AFC West looking for a coach soon, I think, in the Chargers, with a very good quarterback in Justin Herbert, and there could be a potential there as well on the way. But no, I'm with you. I feel like he stays his head coach, but steps away from that GM role.
It's big, yeah. I think just with his history, I think he'd just have to go somewhere and be total control, if I'm honest. So I think that's a big, because if he does be coach, he's got someone above him pulling strings, and he's got to act on the back of that, which I think, like you said, I think it'll help him these days. I think it's a different league now. The players he's brought in aren't very good. So he could do with freshening it up, but I just can't see him relinquishing that control. If he did go somewhere again, I think it'd be a similar role where he is the man, he's the GM, he's the coach, and what he says goes. But
it's even little ones like how he let Myers go to the Raiders. He's not even on much money, and they had him there last year, such a talented wide receiver. And you look at the wide receiving call they've got this year, and they let him go, and they signed Juju, who looked poor in a I know he stepped up now and again for the Chiefs, but even Mahomes couldn't make him look good. It's some crazy calls have gone in.
I tell you what, I think the Chiefs would take Juju back though now.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely.
Lads, on to the next one. We'll rattle in. We've got the most surprising team. Obviously, it doesn't have to be a league winner, doesn't have to be a front runner. But the most surprising, someone who shocked you, but this is for the good. We've got disappointing coming up. Bish, who's your most surprising team?
My most surprising team, and it's probably through what's happened to them throughout the course of the year, is the Cleveland Browns. You know, they had a lot of hype beginning of the season, you know, for good and bad. Obviously, the quarterback situation with Deshaun Watson, great defense on paper. And then all of a sudden, week 2, Nick Chubb goes down, the star running back. You know, your quarterback's been in and out all year. Myles Garrett pops a shoulder a couple of weeks ago, but he's all right. And then since week 12, they've been without the star cornerback, Denzel Ward, as well. But somehow they've managed to find the way to 8-5 records, sitting in the playoffs. Bringing Joe Flacco, and it looks like a renaissance. You know, what is he? I don't know if he's 40. He might be 38, 40 years old.
36. I think we did it last time.
Wow. I put a few years on him.
I did the same. You've got it from our last show, Bish.
But I just think, you know, there's so much adversity through the year, and somehow they've just found a way, you know, running the ball really well. Defense has showed up, and they're still in contention. And, you know, we probably could cut. I don't know. I don't think they're good enough to beat the big teams, but, you know, they could grind out some sort of average teams in the playoffs. That first round game, whoever if they make it in that first round game, you know, I wouldn't say it'd be a blowout like you see in most playoff first round games this year.
Yeah,
agreed.
I can jump on the back of that if you want, because I had Cleveland Browns as well. Yeah, there was my pick. I think, like I said, it's pretty obvious. I think the fact that you lose your 2 best players in offense in Deshaun Watson and Nick Chubb, and you still sat there at 8-5 it's just full credit to that team and the defense. And yeah, they're the biggest surprise for me. So I won't drag it on. But if I'm not picking them, then I know we spoke about them, but I've got to chuck my men Denver Broncos into the mixer. If it's not the Browns for me, it's my team Denver, and it's more because when a team sat there at 1-5 all over the place, and they're now 7-6, and like I said, 50% chance of making the playoffs. That's one hell of a surprise. So yeah, Cleveland Browns for me, but because you said them, Bish, I'll go with my own team.
Nice.
I've got one more team that I'd like to chuck in there. The Houston Texans, 7-6, still got a very legitimate chance to make the playoffs. So obviously, CJ Stroud's not embarrassed Bryce Young, but definitely proved that he should have been that number 1 pick. And the likes of Tank Dell, and turning some of them other receivers who have been 4th choices. You've had Noah Brown, who were, like I said, the exact 4th choice on Dallas last year. You've got what they've done with a running back in Damian Pierce, and that probably is not done as well as everyone thought. CJ's took over, and they've made they've one of the most exciting. He's number 2 in throwing yards on the year. I think no one could have predicted or told me that they would have been 7-6 and a legitimate chance of making the playoffs. So I'm going to chuck Houston Browns and their off-season work into the most surprising team.
Good pick, yeah.
Thank you. Next one, lads, the opposite, most disappointing team. Bish?
Shall I go first, right? I think I said the Chargers, but I'm going to lean away from them. They have been disappointing, but another angle on it, my most disappointing team has been the Buffalo Bills, because I just think there's so much potential in Josh Allen, and they've just done nothing to help him. You know, if they're 7-6 at the minute, you know, they've lost some sort of games, a bit like we spoke earlier about the Packers. They've lost some games that probably, you know, they should have won. I know that they lost to the Broncos, didn't they, as well? Yeah, they did. But I think they definitely lost to the Jets earlier on, and they lost. Anyway, you know what I'm getting at. Yeah, they've lost some big games.
Another overtime game in Philadelphia as well.
Yeah, and that game I sort of picked out. I think we spoke about that game. Josh Allen, 339 yards passing, 4 touchdowns, 2 passing, 2 running. You know, there's not much more he can do on his own. You know, we've said Stefan Diggs is his only real target, and I'm disappointed more in the organisation that they've not gone out and got him another wide receiver. You know, it was a division hyped up at the beginning of the season, obviously with Aaron Rodgers coming across, Miami signing everyone. You know, we thought some firepower it'd be a tough division to get out of. 4 snaps into the season for the Jets, Aaron Rodgers goes down. The Patriots have been terrible, you know, and if they just at the trade deadline maybe went out and got him a little bit of help, I don't think they'd be stuck in the hole that they're in at the minute. So yeah, that's probably frustrating for me because I just think Josh Allen I just think he's one of the better quarterbacks in the league without a doubt. You know, I'd throw him up there top 2 to be honest at the minute the way he's playing, and he's just getting no help at all. And as a result of that, you know, he's quite high on turnovers because he's having to force things constantly. You know, they've had some defensive injuries which has hurt him massively. But yeah, so that's it for me. And it just annoys me because they're a team that I like to watch. He's a player that, you know, I like to watch. He's a bit of a running back himself in the way he plays, and you know, he's all action. So I just feel if he could get some help, you know, we could see the Buffalo Bills doing some real damage.
The only thing I'll say on that, Bish, is that the 7-6, they could still make the playoffs. Not that they'll go and explode and, like you said, beat the likes of Baltimore and some of the other ones. But it's a really weak conference. I think the AFC is really weak this year, and if they get a good run, I know they've got a tough schedule because I was going to put them in and maybe bring up the point. Oh, they might surprise a few, but they've got a tough schedule. But if they do pull it off, and likes of Denver maybe pick up a few losses that they don't expect, they could make it. But yeah, I agree with you.
I think if they make the playoffs, watch out because I think that they're well enough. They're good enough to make it to that championship game without a doubt. They've got the Cowboys this week.
I was going to say I'll be in the next category or whatever. I'll be mentioning the Bills. I'm backing them a bit, mate.
Yeah, they've got the Cowboys this week. Then they've got the Chargers, the Patriots, and then, as I said earlier, that last game is the Dolphins, and I think that could be the decider for the title. So yeah, I still think they're a good team. They're up there, but I just think if they would have added a little bit more, I think they'd be home and nose top of the division already.
Yeah, no playoff doubt.
Yeah.
Tag, who's your most disappointing team?
Well, Bish touched on them, but I've just got to keep rinsing them. It's the Chargers, and it's the thing is with me is that I shouldn't because he's not a Denver player, but I love Herbert. Herbert's my favourite quarterback in the league. I've got so much faith in him. I just love what I see in him. Obviously, I know he's out now the rest of the year and probably saving grace that he is. So he's got a shot at next year, and he's in the same division as Denver as well. So I shouldn't say it, but I think the biggest surprise as well and biggest disappointment is how Staley's still got a job. I mean, some of his calls and some of the games, what he's influenced games they've lost continuously, and the team they've got, and you look at that roster, and they can't even really complain too much about injuries this year. They've got Khalil Mack, Darwin James, people like that on defense, and I know they lost Mike Williams early, but they've still had a fit Keenan Allen, and they drafted Quentin Johnson early in the first round, who's someone I thought would have been brilliant this year, but he's not stepped up, and now you've got an injured Justin Herbert, and you probably aren't going to win another game all season, arguably. I just think if they don't change the coach, then it's criminal, and I feel like they've got a franchise quarterback in Justin Herbert. I mean, he was breaking all records for the length of time in the league, the first year, the second year. Obviously, this injury is going to wear him, but he's a gun, and I think obviously he needs a new coach, in my opinion.
And I've never met a coach that's more unanimously everyone on Twitter, every commenter on NFL wants him to go, and they want to see someone new in. So yeah, I think you're I think the rest of the leagues were being I was. They were going to be mine. I'll give an honourable mention quickly to the New Orleans Saints. I was disappointed in them. That NFC South's terrible anyway. Tampa Bay are probably going to hold on and win it. I can't see Atlanta doing it, but I think the Saints, for me, took it. Obviously, brought in Derek Carr. Got a few wide receivers back healthy. Obviously, a few got injured, so I've got to be also fair to him in that regard. But the defense hasn't been that good. It's not in the top 10 ranked of the year. I just wanted to see more from them. Kamara's been good as a receiving back, but it's just not flowed. They've not picked up the win in a very winnable division there, and I think this was their year. They traded, obviously, when you trade for a quarterback, I know Derek Carr's not on the top of everyone's tongue when they talk about top QBs, but they made a big play for him. They had Jameis Winston there, who's come in and obviously still plays exciting, and they've just not done it. And I think they didn't go all in, but they made some big moves, and I think they should have certainly been winning the division at a minimum.
Yeah, fully agree.
I think Derek Carr looks like, for me, he's playing because he's scared of losing his job if he don't play, because it seems every week he's playing bad ribs, bad shoulder, concussion. He's always in and out of games, and it's like he's just dying to keep starting in case Winston does light it up, and they realise, oh, actually, maybe Carr's not the answer for us. So I don't know. It just seems like that watching them. He always seems to be playing hurt. You know, sometimes it's a good thing. You know, he's gutting it out, but I just think it's more he's playing because he knows he might lose his job.
I just don't think Carr's what some people think he is. I saw a lot of him at the Raiders, and the last year there, they got his mate in, Devontae, to help him. And Josh McDaniels, as much as a poor coach, Josh McDaniels is shown potentially to be, he was a very good QB coach and worked with Tom Brady for a lot of years and knows what a good quarterback looks like, and was happy to let him go and drop him. And he's gone to Saints now in the poor division. He's still not bringing home the bacon. So yeah, I just think Derek Carr maybe isn't that quarterback people think he is.
I like it, yeah. We'll finish off, lads. I think we've covered this topic throughout the whole of the show, but we'll give our definitive answers. We've got championship games. Who do you think's going to make the AFC and NFC championship? And obviously, then from there, who's your Super Bowl winner at this moment, lads? Tag, you want to take us off?
Yeah, I can just go straight into it. I have to do too much explain if you want, but for me, I've got the NFC title game. I'm going for the 49ers, and they will play and beat the Philadelphia Eagles. So at the start of the season, I said the Eagles would win the NFC, but I'm going the Niners now. But I feel like the Eagles are going to go into Dallas and get their own back and beat them to get to that championship game. So I've got the Niners to beat the Eagles. In the AFC, I've got the Ravens to beat the Bills. I think the Bills are going to sneak in there. And what I saw from the Bills to go into Arrowhead and win, and I know they lost in overtime against the Eagles, but the Eagles were on that bounce-back game against the Niners, and they was really obviously up for that game. I like what I've seen the Bills last couple of weeks. And like you say, it's frustrating because they should be home and nose bish, but I feel like the Bills are going to make that championship game this year. And the Ravens will just have a bit too much for them on defense. So I've got the Niners, Ravens, Super Bowl, and I think Shanahan's going to get that demon off his back and win his first Super Bowl. So I've got the Niners to win the Super Bowl with a CMC MVP performance.
Oh, I love that. That's a great solid prediction. Bish, if you don't mind, I'll go next on the back of that. Yeah. I think mine's pretty similar, to be fair. I was going to say Baltimore v. the Bills, to be honest with you, Tag. The only thing that held me back is when have I searched this up? I searched up Hill. They've got a bit of a tough running to go into the end of the year, and I just don't know if they can. Sorry, I'm just trying to type it in so I've got it on the top of my tongue here.
I think that goes one way or the other, doesn't it? I think a tough run, if they get the wins and they're in their massively tough competitive games now, week in, week out, the rest of the year, it puts you in good stead if you get them wins rather than playing a team like Carolina where you're not really going to gain anything from it.
Yeah, well, I think for me, obviously, it depends. I wish we did the show maybe next Monday because they're against obviously the Cowboys. I think if they lose weekend, like you said, I think I was a bit scared. Tag, I didn't have the same cojones you had in going with them because I got scared about that game. But if they win, obviously, I'm with you. I think it's Baltimore v the Bills. Otherwise, I think it's Baltimore versus. It's just a really weak AFC, and I think for that reason Miami do make it. I can't see anyone else really other than Baltimore coming in and shocking a few. I can't see anyone being good enough to really take on the Dolphins if Bills don't make it. So for that reason, I'm going Miami versus Baltimore in the AFC. In the NFC, I've got San Francisco versus the Dallas Cowboys. I think Philadelphia are beatable. They've got a great offense, great defense, but them cornerbacks, I think CeeDee Lamb will just expose. I think a few of them options in Dallas, and that defense. Mike Parsons, a big game player. We saw it last year. He was the one player who stood up, and Dak eventually has to prove the haters wrong, or they need to move on. I think this is his year to prove it. Whether they make it to the Super Bowl or not is a different question because that 49ers is such a freakily stacked team. But I think it's San Fran versus Dallas, and then we've got San Fran versus Baltimore and San Francisco with Utah. Exact same CMC performance for the ring. Bish?
Again, it's no spoiler alert here, but yeah, it's pretty much the same. I sort of. Yeah, AFC was a tough one because of the Bills. I also, like I said, I threw the Browns in there and sort of had them possibly causing an upset against the Jags in the first round of the playoffs. But I've ended up settling with the Ravens, and although we've talked about them struggling, I still think the Chiefs get there. So I've got the Ravens beating the Chiefs, and then in the NFC, I've got. Similar to you, Joe. Well, exactly the same. I've got the 49ers playing the Cowboys and the 49ers coming out on top. And to make it 3 out of 3, I've got the 49ers. I just think, like you said, Kyle Shanahan exercises the demons. And if healthy, I just don't think anyone can come close to the 49ers.
I do like the Chiefs call still. I do like the Chiefs talk. I think it's too early to write the Chiefs off, and you know how much of a, and they did wipe the floor with Miami and Germany quite comfortably, didn't they? I know that's a few weeks back now, but it won't. I know they aren't looking great, Chiefs, but you wouldn't be surprised to see them turn it around, would you?
I just think as well, if they can secure that second spot, it is home field majority of the way, so that Arrowhead is quite a tough place to go unless you're the Bills. But yeah, those fans could make a difference.
I like it. Well, unanimous on the plus side, unanimous unanimous Super Bowl winner, the 49ers. Bish, have you got McCaffrey winning the MVP?
I'm going to go different, and I'm going to try and throw up a defensive player, but I'm going to go Deebo Samuel. I think he'll catch a short one and take it 60 meters.
Fair enough. That's a good call on what we've seen this year. But yeah, there you have it. San Francisco 49ers winning the Super Bowl. And like you said, the 49ers offense, McCaffrey or Deebo exploding. Thanks for coming on, Tag. I think we've got you for one more show after. We've got the... we'll have to put this one out first because I'm going to say it. We've got the Fantasy regular season award show with myself, Bish, and Tag coming later in the week. This will go out first. We've got the bets, then the regular season fantasy show coming out with all of us three giving our picks, and whoever gets the deciding vote will win. Loads of comments to be made. So yeah, thanks for coming on, Tag. Good show that. I think we've made a load of it. We'll get a load of YouTube shorts and TikToks from it. So we'll be on fire, and see you soon.